Friends, Namaskar and good evening. Welcome to this weekly briefing in the virtual format. I will start with a short update on the Vande Bharat mission. You would know that the phase 8 of this mission has been operational since the 1st of November, and this phase has now been extended until the 31st of December. Under this extended phase, called Phase 8 Plus, 897 international flights have been scheduled to operate from 15 countries with a capacity to repatriate an estimated 1.5 lakh people. In addition to this, flights operated under the bilateral air bubble arrangements with 18 countries are progressing smoothly. And as of 3rd of December, 34.1 lakh Indians have been repatriated through different modes of this mission. I'll move on to your questions. Garima, could you please take over?
So taking the first set of questions, Gautam Lahiri asks, Chinese state-sponsored media reports that China plans to build a mega hydropower project on the Brahmaputra river. Whether Indian government is concerned and what steps MEA is taking to allay the reported concerns both in India and Bangladesh. Shankar from IVD asks whether India has expressed its concern to China on its planned development of super dam on the Brahmaputra river. Similar questions have also been asked by Aishwarya from AFP, Madhurendra from News Nation, Geeta Mohan from India Today, and Sandeep from the Tribune.
We have taken note of media reports in this regard, and the government has been carefully monitoring all developments in the Brahmaputra river. As a lower riparian state with considerable established user rights to the waters of the transborder rivers, we have consistently conveyed our views and concerns to the Chinese authorities. We have urged them to ensure that the interests of downstream states are not harmed by any activities in upstream areas. The Chinese side has conveyed to us on several occasions that they are only undertaking run-of-the-river hydropower projects which do not involve diversion of the waters of the Brahmaputra. Various issues relating to transborder rivers are discussed with China under the ambit of the institutionalized expert-level mechanism which was established in 2006, as well as through diplomatic channels. We intend to remain engaged with China on the issue of transborder rivers to safeguard our interests.
So next question is from Siddhant from Vion. EM and Australian FM had a telephone conversation on the 1st of December. Did they discuss the recent China-Australia controversy?
Siddhant, our two countries enjoy strong bilateral relationship, and we are both democratic nations with shared values based on commitments to a rule-based global order. A virtual summit was recently held between our two prime ministers on the 4th of June, and at this virtual summit, it was decided to elevate our bilateral relationship to a comprehensive strategic partnership. Our bilateral engagements span various areas. They include agriculture, mining, education, skill development, infrastructure, maritime cooperation, counterterrorism, cybersecurity. These are some of the areas. You would also know that Australia recently participated in the Malabar series exercises, and it is an important partner in our Indo-Pacific Oceans Initiative, which was tabled by India, as well as it is an important partner in the post-COVID economic rebalancing through building more resilient supply chains. So given the depth and importance of our bilateral relations, naturally, we exchange views on regional and global developments as well as on current issues of concern.
Next, Uma Shankar from NDTV India asks, क्या भारत के पीएम ने यूके पीएम को गणतंत्र दिवस परेड का मुख्य अतिथि बनने के लिए न्योता दिया है? अगर हाँ, तो क्या यूके पीएम ने कबूल कर लिया है? Sridhar from Asian Age asks, has an invite been extended to the British Prime Minister to be the chief guest of the Republic Day parade? Has he accepted the invite? Similar questions have also been asked by Shailendra from News 18, Neeraj from News 18, Shankar from IVD, Suhasini Haider from The Hindu, and Srinjoy from Times Now.
See, as you are all aware, the announcement regarding the chief guest for our Republic Day celebrations is made closer to the event. So as and when there is something to share, we'll be happy to do so.
Next, Geeta from India Today asks, Pakistan is trying to club cases of other Indian national with Jadhav to build a case against him. The court order of the hearing also is about Jadhav, and no mention of the Indian national while hearing. Could you throw some light on what is happening on the Jadhav case, and who is the other Indian national in question here? How is Pakistan linking the two cases?
Look, Geeta, Pakistan is trying to link the case of Shri Kulbhushan Jadhav with another case. And to give you a background, in a routine consular practice, Mr. Shahnawaz Noon, who was selected to represent our High Commission to appear in this case for the release and repatriation of an Indian prisoner by the name of Mr. Muhammad Ismail, who has completed his sentence but continues to be in jail in Pakistan. So Mr. Shahnawaz Noon was selected to represent in the case of Mr. Muhammad Ismail. However, during proceedings of the case of Mr. Ismail, the Pakistan Attorney General raised the matter pertaining to Sri Jadhav, though these two cases are not interconnected in any way. And Mr. Noon is reported to have made those statements about our CDA, which are not true, and they are in contravention of our stand in this case. It appears that he acted under pressure from the Pakistani establishment to make such statements for which he has no authorization. Mr. Noon has therefore misrepresented the position of our High Commission. He was clearly told by the High Commission that he had no authority to represent either the Government of India or Shri Kulbhushan Jadhav. And our mission in Islamabad has written to Mr. Noon reiterating that he has no authority to represent Mr. Jadhav and has no basis to suggest that the Indian CDA would appear in the court. As regards our position on Shri Kulbhushan Jadhav, I have clarified this on several instances in the past. Pakistan has failed to respond on core issues pertaining to the case, including provision of all relevant documents, providing unimpeded, unhindered and unconditional consular access to Shri Jadhav. And this is required to form a basis for an effective review and reconsideration of the case as ordered by the ICJ.
Next, शैलेंद्र from News 18 asks, क्या पाकिस्तान ने भारत के अगले CDA के तौर पर सुरेश कुमार को मंजूरी दे दी है? Similar question has also been asked by Uma Shankar from NDTV India.
देखिए, जहाँ तक मेरी जानकारी है, इस नियुक्ति की प्रक्रिया भी जारी है.
So next, Ranjit Kumar from Rakshit News asks, what is the status of negotiations plan with China on disengagement and de-escalation along the Ladakh border? Srinjoy from Times Now asks, are India and China working towards the next round of military level discussions? Are informal discussions underway? Similar questions have also been asked by Madhurendra from News Nation, Pranay from ABP and Suhasini from The Hindu.
To respond to these questions, I will say that as we have conveyed earlier, the two sides continue to maintain communication through diplomatic and military channels with the objective of ensuring complete disengagement in all friction points along the LAC in the western sector and for full restoration of peace and tranquility. Both sides have agreed to have another round of senior commanders meeting at an appropriate time, and as and when we have more information, we will be happy to share it with you.
So next, Aditya Raj Kaul asks, US-China Economic and Security Review Commission has told the US Congress that Beijing had planned the Galwan Valley violent clash in eastern Ladakh and casualties as well. How does India react to this development? Madhurendra from News Nation asks, अमेरिकी रिपोर्ट में गलवान हिंसा को लेकर जो तथ्य सामने आए हैं उससे भारत कितना सहमत है? शैलेंद्र फ्रॉम न्यूज़ 18 आस्क्स, अमेरिका के एक आयोग की रिपोर्ट में कहा गया है कि गलवान हिंसा की योजना चीन की CCP ने की थी. क्या भारत इस रिपोर्ट से सहमत है?
See, I would refer all of you to the press release that was put out by the ministry after the conversation between EM and State Councillor and Foreign Minister of China, Mr. Wang Yi, on the 17th of June 2020, in the immediate aftermath of the violent face-off in the Galwan Valley on the 15th of June, where 20 Indian soldiers laid down their lives while protecting India's sovereignty and territorial integrity. I would stress that the core issue remains that both sides need to strictly follow the various bilateral agreements and protocols in their entirety, including the 1993 and 1996 agreement on maintenance of peace and tranquility along the LAC in the border areas, which require that there should not be amassing of troops. Each side should strictly abide by and respect the LAC and should not take any unilateral action to alter it.
So next, Siddhant from Yon asks, how many foreign envoys will go to COVID vaccine center in India? They were expected to visit as an outcome of the November meeting with Foreign Secretary. Shailendra from News 18 asks, MEA कितने envoys को 9 नवंबर को हैदराबाद लेकर जा रहा है और इस विजिट में डिप्लोमैट्स को क्या ब्रीफ किया जाएगा? मधुरेंद्र फ्रॉम न्यूज नेशन आस्क्स, यूके में अप्रूव्ड हुई कोविड वैक्सीन भारत में भी लोगों को मिल सके, क्या इस संबंध में भारत और यूके के बीच कोई बातचीत चल रही है?
Siddhant and Shailendra, this visit is still being planned and we shall share the details with you once it is finalized. मधुरेंद्र जी, आपके सवाल के लिए मैं ये कहूँगा कि वैक्सीन को लेकर जो भी डेवलपमेंट्स हैं, इसकी क्या बातचीत है, किसके साथ क्या हो रहा है, किस स्टेज पर है, इसकी विस्तृत जानकारी आपको स्वास्थ्य मंत्रालय से लेनी पड़ेगी.
So next, Aditya Raj Kaul asks, there are reports that Indian and Russian navies would be conducting naval exercises shortly. Can you share details?
Yes, the ships of Indian Navy and the Russian Federation Navy will be conducting passage exercise or PASEX. This exercise is tentatively scheduled on the 3rd and 4th of December and will be held in the Bay of Bengal. As you know that India and Russia are long-standing strategic partners and we share a special and privileged partnership. This proposed PASEX will maintain the continuity of maritime operational engagement between the two sides, and keeping in view the restrictions related to COVID-19, the PASEX with the Russian Federation Navy will be conducted as a non-contact at sea only event.
So next, Jomi Thomas from Malayalam Manorama asks, is it possible to share some details of EAM's discussion in UAE regarding job issues of Indians there?
Jomi, you would have seen our press release on EM's visit and the meetings he had in UAE last week. EM called on the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi on the 25th of November. He also called on the ruler of Dubai, who is also the Prime Minister and Vice President of UAE, on the 29th of November, and this was during his stopover in Dubai on his way back from Seychelles. He held discussions with his counterpart, the Foreign Minister of UAE, on the 26th of November. And all these meetings showed the continued close friendship between our two countries. Now, during the visit, a range of bilateral, regional and multilateral issues were discussed, including issues related to the welfare of the Indian community. And EM thanked the UAE leadership for taking excellent care of the Indian community during the pandemic. The UAE leadership was also effusive in its praise for the Indian community. And they assured EM that as UAE returns to normalcy, they would give India's request due consideration. You would also be aware that an air bubble arrangement is already in place between India and UAE, and both countries expressed their satisfaction that despite the COVID-19 restrictions and the resultant economic issues, a large number of Indians have been able to travel back to UAE.
So next, Siddhant from Vion asks, is Nepali FM expected to visit India? Shankar from IVD asks, when is Nepal's foreign minister visiting India? Similar question has also been asked by Nayanema from the print.
Foreign Secretary during his visit to Nepal last week had extended EM's invitation to the Foreign Minister of Nepal to visit India for the next meeting of the Joint Commission. The dates for this visit are still being worked out.
So next, Pranay from ABP asks, हाल ही में चीन के रक्षा मंत्री जनरल वेई फेंग ही नेपाल और फिर पाकिस्तान के दौरे पर थे. उनकी पाकिस्तान यात्रा के दौरान दोनों देशों के बीच पीओके के इलाके से गुजरने वाली सीपीईसी परियोजनाओं पर भी बात हुई, जिनको लेकर भारत विरोध जताता रहा है. साथ ही पाक सरकार के मुताबिक दोनों देशों के बीच रक्षा सहयोग बढ़ाने के समझौते पर भी दस्तखत हुए हैं. क्षेत्रीय संतुलन और दक्षिण एशिया में शांति स्थापना की कोशिशों के मद्देनजर आप पाकिस्तान और चीन के बीच बढ़ती सैन्य साझेदारी को कैसे देखते हैं? इसको लेकर भारत की ताज़ा चिंताएं क्या हैं?
प्रणय, जहाँ तक CPEC परियोजनाओं का सवाल है, मैंने इस पर पहले भी बयान दिया है। हमारी स्थिति जो है इस पर स्पष्ट और सुसंगत है और ये दोनों देशों को ज्ञात है। CPEC परियोजनाओं भारत की संप्रभुता और क्षेत्रीय अखंडता का उल्लंघन करते हैं और हमने दोनों देशों को अपना विरोध और अपनी चिंताएं जताई हैं। विजिट को लेकर मैं कोई टिप्पणी नहीं करना चाहूँगा क्योंकि ये दो देशों के द्विपक्षीय मामलों से संबंधित है। लेकिन राष्ट्रीय सुरक्षा का जहाँ तक मामला है, मैं ये कहूँगा कि इनसे जुड़े मुद्दों पर सरकार लगातार नज़र रखती है और इसको सुनिश्चित करने के लिए आवश्यक कदम भी उठाए जाते हैं।
So next, नीरज फ्रॉम न्यूज 18 asks, चुनाव आयोग ने अगले साल होने वाले 5 राज्यों के विधानसभा चुनावों के लिए NRI को पोस्टल बैलेट के जरिए मत का अधिकार देने का प्रस्ताव दिया है। क्या विदेश मंत्रालय इसके लिए तैयार है?
नीरज जी, चुनाव आयोग के जो आप प्रस्ताव की बात कर रहे हैं, जब भी इसको लेकर कोई भी निर्णय होगा, मैं कहूँगा कि विदेश मंत्रालय इस निर्णय को कार्यान्वयन करने के लिए पूरी तरह से तैयार है।
So next, प्रणय फ्रॉम ABP asks, विश्व व्यापार संगठन की कृषि संबंधी समिति की बीते दिनों हुई बैठक में कुछ विकसित देशों ने भारत में कृषि सब्सिडी व किसान बीमा जैसी परियोजनाओं को लेकर सवाल उठाए थे। वो कौन से देश हैं जो भारत में कृषि सब्सिडी दिए जाने को लेकर अंतर्राष्ट्रीय व्यापार संगठनों में सवाल उठाते रहे हैं और ऐसे मौक़ों पर भारत की तरफ से क्या जवाब दिया जाता है और ऐसे दबाव से निपटने के लिए भारत क्या कदम उठा रहा है?
प्रणय, WTO से रिलेटेड जो भी मामला है वो वाणिज्य मंत्रालय इससे डील करता है और आपको उनको संपर्क करना पड़ेगा।
So next, शैलेंद्र फ्रॉम न्यूज 18 asks, कनेडियन प्राइम मिनिस्टर जस्टिन ट्रूडो ने किसान प्रदर्शन पर टिप्पणी की है। क्या यह भारत के अंदरूनी मामलों में दखल है?
शैलेंद्र जी, कनाडा के नेताओं का किसानों के प्रदर्शन से संबंधित टिप्पणी के बारे में जो बयान दिया गया है वो आपने देखा होगा और उस बयान में कहा गया है कि इस तरह की टिप्पणियां अनुचित हैं, खासकर जब वे एक लोकतांत्रिक देश के आंतरिक मामलों से संबंधित हो और बेहतर है कि कूटनीतिक बातचीत राजनीतिक उद्देश्यों के लिए गलत तरीके से प्रस्तुत नहीं की जाए।
So next, Sandeep from the Tribune asks, during the EM's visit to Seychelles, was the fate of the assumption agreement that has not been approved by Seychelles Parliament discussed? Is India considering environmental concerns that were raised by the current president when he was in the opposition?
Sandeep, you would have seen the press release that we issued after the visit. EM was on an official visit from the 27th and on the 27th and 28th of November. And during his visit, he called on His Excellency the President of Seychelles, as well as he had discussions with his counterpart, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Tourism. As regards the discussions, all issues of mutual interest in our bilateral relations, including development partnership, capacity building, defense cooperation, people-to-people and cultural ties, trade, tourism, commerce, as well as health-related issues were discussed.
Sir, Sandeep from the Tribune asks, what is MEA's stand on reports of a 700 megawatt dam project on the river Jhelum in POK?
Sandeep, we have seen media reports about conclusion of agreements related to this project that you mentioned. This is the Azad Patan hydropower project, and you would have seen our reaction to such projects in the past. We have consistently conveyed our strong protest to Pakistan on its attempts to bring material changes in Indian territories under its illegal and forcible occupation, including by constructing hydropower projects like this project. Our position is consistent and clear that the entire territory of the Indian Union territories of J&K and Ladakh have been, are, and will remain to be integral and inalienable parts of India. Are there any further questions, Garima?
No, sir, I have no more.
Thank you. So this concludes the weekly briefing.